Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a little video on what we're going to be doing today. So yesterday, you did the reading on the informational text for TV's literature from Common Lit. And so hopefully you did some annotations here, you answered your guiding questions, and you completed the assessment questions. You need all three of these pieces for the assignment from yesterday. So if you haven't finished that yet, make sure you do that first because we're going to use this text as our source for the assignment. Okay, so under Canvas for today and Tuesday, aside from your Khan Academy practice on verbs, you will have the writing practice. So when you click in here, okay, it gives you a little bit of a paragraph, and I'll explain this in a minute. But Easy Merit has a writing component to it, and very often they switch it up, so we never know what kind of writing you are going to be required to do. So there's usually one of two prompts that they give at the sophomore level, and that's an explanatory prompt, which means you are going to explain your ideas, or argumentative, which is very similar to your PBA practice that we did with the women in combat, where you are taking a side and you are arguing and you have the counterclaim and the rebuttal. Okay. Now, because we're just doing kind of practices, I'm not going to have you create full essays, but we are going to do some graphic organizers. So if you click here on this link, it's going to ask you to make a copy, and it should pop up this form. And so we're just filling out the graphic organizer. This organizer here is going to be a major grade. It's part of your 30% category. So it can help your grade a lot, or it can drop your grade a lot. And we'll have a couple days to work on this. So the first thing we're going to look at is our explanatory or expository writing. You might see both terms, explanatory and expository. So in this, you are still kind of picking a side, but you're not going to argue right or wrong. You're just explaining your reasoning behind a choice. So because we're using our article here by Shelby Ostergaard, our prompt is going to be, should television be considered literature and taught in English classes? So you are still going to say yes or no, it should or should not be. So if we were writing an actual essay, our thesis statement would be something like television should or should not be considered literature and taught in English classes. So what I want you to do with this thesis or topic sentence, you're going to highlight which choice you feel you're going to explain. So I'm going to choose the should. We should use it. And I'm going to highlight it. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to fill in this chart right here. You're going to give me 3 reasons why you think it should or should not be. You're going to give me evidence from the article, and then you're going to explain it. So it's just going to follow the CER um, format that we've traditionally done. So if I go to my article, I'm going to look, and my annotations don't save. So unfortunately, I can't show you annotations because I'm in the teacher version and it's not saving. But I'm going to go and find a reason why we should teach literature in classrooms. Okay, so if I'm scrolling through here, one of the ideas here that I'm going to use is it closes cultural divides. And so when you read this, this could be an area where we're going to support, yes, we should use television in a classroom. So I'm going to use this idea right here. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this area because this is what I'm going to focus on. But I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put my reason why we should. So one reason we should teach television as literature is that it is accessible and available to many more people than traditional novels. Okay, so now I'm going to go find evidence from the article here. Okay, and so I'm going to look in this area where it talks about books used to be one of the major ways to bind a culture together. And I'm going to say that I'm going to use this part right here. So I'm going to use TV shows like Seinfeld and Friends have come to define American culture far better than novel has in recent years. But I don't need that whole thing. And remember, even though I'm doing a chart, I still want to embed my quote. So I'm going to say, for example, the author makes the claim that TV is worldwide, unlike books, because, and this is where I'm going to start my quote, TV shows have come to define American culture. And I'm going to skip this part in the middle, so I'm going to take that out. And I can do that by using the ellipses. So TV shows, and I'm skipping, and I'm going to start right back here. Have come to define American culture far more than any novel has been able to do. And I'm going to close my quote. And I don't have page numbers here, but I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look at my author's name. So I just need the last name. And that's how I'm going to cite it for this. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to give my explanation. So my commentary. So I'm going to say, clearly, television is more readily available with new technology such as streaming services and Hulu, where you can find any TV show on any device and watch at any time. And this is important because this allows people to watch more shows at a more convenient time, whereas books take more time and energy to read. So again, I want to have two sentences. I have one sentence and two sentences for my explanation. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to find three claims for why you should or should not do literature in English classes. Okay, that's the explanatory. So it's kind of like the first part of your argumentative because I'm not looking at the other side. On the next page, you have your chart for argumentative. Okay, you're going to take the same stance here. So I'm still going to come up here and I'm going to highlight my should because my prompt is the same. Should we teach it? And my topic sentence is going to be the same. So television should. So I'm going to remind myself that's what I did. But now you're going to go into claim, counterclaim, and rebuttal. Okay, so your claims can be pretty similar to this because you're still going to fight for one explanation, one side. The difference is when you do argumentative, you are going to continue by looking at the other side and then you're going to come back with your rebuttal. So if I use the same idea here in my reasoning, okay, and this is just for example purposes. When you do your own, I want you to come up with a new one here. But if I have my reasons here, my opposition is going to say we should not. And so I want to come in here and say, no, we should not do this. And I'm going to take something from the very beginning where it talks about um, there are no cognitive skills, okay, with watching TV. So I'm going to say, um, however, the opposition claims that television is not as sophisticated as reading novels and should not be taught in classrooms. So that's my counterclaim. This is what my opposition thinks. Then I'm going to go find my evidence and I'm going to say that it create does not create the same level of thinking skills that novels do. And I'm paraphrasing this, so I don't need quotes. I'm taking this idea here from the article and I'm kind of paraphrasing it. I'm putting it in my own words. But even though it's not my idea, I still need to cite it. Okay. And then I'm going to come up with my reasoning. So, and remember in your reasoning, you're going to kind of flip back and you're going to say, even though television may not create the same amount of thinking, there are many shows that require attention to detail or have complicated plots to follow. And then I'm going to use that to kind of create my rebuttal and my final piece of evidence and reasoning for my original claim. Okay, so we're going to work on this for a couple days, but we do want to practice just doing the explanatory essay where you're just explaining your side and the argumentative where you're going to create your counterclaim and the rebuttal because we don't know what AZ merit writing is going to look like.